And we're live. Well, recording. Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling 101, and I am joined...
He's been super busy. That's why we haven't done this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I am joined by...
Me!
And...
Oh, wait. Me! I'm the only one that matters.
For those of you who may not know Big Mouth over there, his name is Hardcore Christopher. So... let's just talk of the freshest story going around and get it out of the way.
Are you talking about the passenger jet?
No, we can touch on that later. But I am wanting to go ahead and touch on the Jeff Hardy story. So the case is now closed. As of right now, he was sentenced to 38 days in the local jail. He got time served for that. 10 years license suspension. He has to go through a drug and rehab program, which I think he's already doing, or he's already done. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But the interesting one is the ankle.
He has an ankle bracelet?
For 2 years.
So he's basically under house arrest?
No. He can still go places, but they want to be able to monitor where he goes. My question is, how will that affect if he decides to wrestle? Will he be given like certain time that he can take that off and then it has to be put back on?
I don't think he'll be allowed to come back to the ring until...
I don't know, because remember, Kane was under a house arrest, but that doesn't stop you from making a living. What? And they basically... let him in the ring, and then afterwards he would be put back under...
Well, can he just wrestle with the ankle bracelet on?
That's what I don't know. I don't know if he can or can't. But I'm thinking there's going to be a provision. Well, Dynamite's from 7 to 9, right?
Uh-huh.
So on Wednesdays, he might be able to take it off from 6:45 to 9:45. That's a 3-hour window.
I honestly thought Jeff was going to go to jail.
I did too. And I'm not sure how this ankle bracelet thing is going to work. I'm just putting out maybe that's how it's going to be worded.
And we don't even know if Jeff...
We don't even know if he wants to come back.
And at this point, I don't think I would want him to come back.
Well,
anyway.
Tony's going to want to get some of that money back that he had paid him.
Then garnish his check.
Well, he's not getting paid until he returns anyway. But if he's under, say, a 5-year contract, Tony's going to want to get his investment back. And then maybe the same thing goes for the pay-per-views weekend. Well, instead of 3 hours, they would be giving him a 4-hour window.
But the courts did tell him that if you mess up
one more time, yeah,
you're done.
At least in the state of Florida. And more than likely, all states are going to uphold that. And then, so that's where we're at with the Jeff story. Not a whole lot to really mention, but the case is now closed. Jeff has been a good boy since June, so we got to give him credit for that.
But he's been in rehab and in jail for most of it.
He was in jail for 38 days. A month.
And I bet he was trying to be like, Matt, Beth, Rebby, can somebody get me out of here?
Well, it's probably a good thing he set, because now he doesn't have to go set for a month. When you think about it, the sentence.
But
so I do know, I don't know if the court did it or not, but his lawyer petitioned the court to drop the breathalyzer test because apparently it was not accurate because they were supposed to test them on a monthly basis in the state of Florida, and they did not do that. So therefore, the results was null and void. And if there is really, if the lawyer was telling the truth and that is on the Florida book and it hasn't been tested in the month,
and that's shame on the police department.
Shame on the police department, but that will have to be stricken from the record. And that might be why he got a lighter sentence.
But if But if it comes back that it was tested before.
But here's the thing: the police had since June to be able to prove those files, and they haven't been able to do it. So I think there is a legit reason there, and that might be why the judge gave him the lighter sentence, because everyone was predicting he was getting 10 years.
Well, Matt. Well, I'm surprised at how quiet Matt has been.
Matt has not been quiet. He had been posted on this pretty much every time anyone would ask how Jeff doing, and he said Jeff is in a good place right now.
But at this stage of Jeff's career, it's either he needs to change his wrestling style, or he needs to hang him up. I mean, the Hardys were known for their athletic ability.
Jeff was known for the high lift, while Matt was more of a laid back of the two.
But after doing that for 25...
We don't even know for sure if Jeff wants to come back. I'm just speculating if he does. There's going to have to be probably some sort of provision in that window that they are alive. Because, and even now, it may be changed because Rampage is taped most weeks.
Yeah.
So they may even change it. Well, Wednesdays is the day that Jeff is available, and then the one Saturday that there's a pay-per-view. The live Rampage he can't do, or something that could be integrated. Or Jeff may be allowed 3 or 4 days a week if AEW is filming or AEW is doing a house show. Well, he has a couple-hour window where he can have that off. So, he can have that off. Well, he can,
Well, I just had... And maybe it's just me, but I have my doubts about Jeff being... Getting sober is one thing.
Staying that way is
I
agree, but
is another thing.
Up until this time, he refused help because he didn't think he had a problem. He did accept help this time. So maybe, let's just say maybe, let's don't get our hopes up, but give him the benefit until he fails.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's not going to do it. Okay, next story.
Let's
go ahead and get the sad story out of the way.
The passing of Jerry Jarrett.
You know, Jeff told a lot up on the eulogy, I guess. I guess Jeff's grandfather wasn't in the picture. I mean, I just thought he wasn't part of the business, but apparently the father left.
From how I understand it, he got drafted, then... No, it's either he got drafted or he went off, or he volunteered for the war, and after the war, him and Jeff's mother divorced shortly after.
And he was just not part of the picture. But considering that, and considering where Jerry Jarrett winded up going with his life, that's a heck of a story.
Think about how influential Jerry was to...
And think about how close he was from being the man in charge of WWE. When Vince
talking about in '95, where
Vince was just about put in prison. He was Vince's right-hand man at that point, to the point Vince was going to sign it over the company.
I mean,
Jerry with Jeff helped make TNA, which is still going to this day.
Jerry was also the youngest owner at one point of a territory.
So,
who brought in a lot of talent.
So our thoughts and prayers are definitely with the Jarrett family in this time. It's never easy to lose a family member.
I'm just surprised Jeff is still working.
It was his choice, and maybe that's how he's coping. And maybe it's just one of them things. His dad was a promoter. His dad would have understood.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get off of this.
Okay. Since we're talking about Hardy, let's talk about Dynamite. First off, did you watch Dynamite?
I did. show was good.
Show was...
I was disappointed with the announcement.
It was good, but when you told me about the major announcement, and
I was disappointed.
I told you I wasn't going to get my hopes up, and I'm glad I didn't.
I mean, most of the time when he teases an announcement, it pans out. This is one of the exceptions of that rule.
And technically, it wasn't even...
Well, Tony was involved in the beginning of it, and then he let Adam Cole take over.
But Adam Cole is basically the one that gave the announcement.
Honestly, the announcement that Adam Cole was getting back in the ring, I think, was more important than the secondary announcement.
But who wants to watch a reality show?
Not me. But remember,
I didn't care. The only reality show I cared about was Legends House, and that's because
of the legends being in it.
Everyone was just crazy.
I mean, and there's going to be a lot of people that watches it. Did it have the impact that Tony wanted it to have?
Well, according to the...
I'm going to say this. Tony was smart by one hand. Because he had it just about right before the last match, when that announcement was made. So right before the main event. So he was able to keep everyone's interest. And how many of them may be new people that never watched because they heard about an announcement being made and they wanted to be involved in the beginning? How many of them sticks around though? It's a question.
After that announcement, I would have changed the
did someone
myself.
new start watching and enjoy the wrestling part of the show? That's the question we got to...
It's very possible.
That's the question we got to ask ourselves. I mean, when he said a major announcement, I was like, did he actually buy another wrestling company? Because he's been teasing that he's always on the market for a new company.
Well, because...
I don't think a WWE announcement is going to be made on Dynamite.
I don't think a WWE announcement is going to be made at all.
I would be shocked if it does. I'm not going to lie. But
I mean, Vince wants 9, and the company's currently worth 6.
He's going to have to go down to probably at least 7.5. And whoever buys it...
if he's not willing to budge...
Oh, he's going to have to budge. I think
Vince is the one in charge of the sale.
I think he's starting it out high. That way, when it looks like he gets actually going down, he actually going to get what he actually wants for it.
Do you think Vince will take anything under 7?
No. 7.5 would probably be his bottom. But it's going to make it look like, well, he comes down, but also the top bidder goes up, is what they're going to do.
And, and
in reality, Vince is going to win.
I'm surprised WWE did a Jerry Jarrett graphic.
Did they?
They did.
Well, I can see that because he did have a long history with Vince.
And
especially with Jeff got put in the Hall of Fame and all that. So, yeah, I can see it.
However, Jeff, if you're going to dye your hair, dye it or color it more because the gray is coming through on television.
I haven't So,
what do you think of the guns?
Hang on, let's finish this real quick. The Dynamite was a good show, but my question is, will they be able to maintain the $1 million, the million viewership next week? They have a stat card next week. So how many of them people came in just for the announcement, but actually enjoyed what they watched and had never watched it before? That's question 1. Question 2, can they maintain at least 1 million views?
Well,
they only went like 23,000 over the mill.
Well, I think it's been the past several weeks, when you look at the ratings, they just tended to start at like 1 mil, then just a downward spiral from there.
The rating system is outdated. They really need to figure out a way to add the people that DVRs it.
Mm-hmm.
Like both of us. We can't watch it live.
Yeah.
Because of church. How many people is like that? Can't watch it live for one reason or another and go home and watch it later. they at least need a secondary rating system for DVRing that they can add to the final number.
Well, you can get one of those black boxes, but you have to be like a homeowner.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I think is outrageous. I think it needs to be, you don't worry about the black box, just add the TV. Every network can tell who's watching on network. How many people actually watches on network.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's how the rating system needs to be. Because I think everything that gets a rating, I think it will all be higher than what they actually pull in.
Okay.
Next subject.
What do you think of Colton and Austin being tag team champions?
Too soon.
I don't understand it.
I think it's too soon. And I'm wondering if Tony realized his mistake, is why he booked a Fatal 4-Way.
Well,
Or is the Guns going to be the champions that, like JBL's title run? Towards the end of it, where he was always somehow able to sneak in a win on a triple threat on a Fatal 4-Way.
Well, do you think that Tony Khan's booking do you think it's repetitive at this point?
No.
We had a tag team battle royal. The next week we're going to have a casino battle royal.
I think, well, I was wondering why we was having 2 battle royals. I still wonder that. But we do have a ladder match on this week's Dynamite, so he did have plans for a ladder match. So maybe that's why he said I can't do that, because I'm going to have us. I honestly would have booked 2 Fatal 4-Ways.
Then
that's how I would have done it.
Then Danielson's running the gauntlet.
He's already done the gauntlet.
Well,
he's been number 1 contender for a few weeks now.
Then somebody else is doing the exact same thing. I forgot who.
Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
Well, it's not competitive, but it is definitely.
It's boring booking.
I don't think it's boring. It's not boring matches by any stretch.
It's not boring matches, but this has happened every single time.
Okay. You're complaining about 2 battle royals. That's one of your main beefs right now, right?
Right.
Okay. I got 2 words for you.
Royal Rumble.
Well, I was going to say that, but here's another one. Elimination Chamber. Hell in a Cell. Money in the Bank. What does all that have in common?
One for the men's, one for the women's.
At least Tony spread it out from one week to the next. If you're going to gripe about what Tony's doing, you got to gripe about what WWE's been doing for years.
Best of 7.
WWE has done that too. Booker T, Chris Benoit.
True, but every single time there was a best of 7, it either happened on a pay-per-view.
No.
Or on a weekly show.
And that's what they did.
However, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the best of 7, in WWE's case, always end up happening at a pay-per-view?
No. SmackDown had a couple of them. More than a couple.
Okay, as good as that Death Triangle versus Elite ladder match was for the Trios title, it should have been on a pay-per-view.
I agree the final match should have been on the pay-per-view. I will agree with that. But I don't agree that it got boring after a while, because they livened it up every match. Especially after the first 3. Wasn't the last 4, every one of them has some sort of stipulation on behind it?
Yes.
We had the basically no holds barred match. We had the weapons allowed match, I think it was. We had the ladder match, which was still, I think.
But why is there no disqualification when there's no disqualification to begin with? Nobody gets disqualified in AEW. No one gets
counted. They have started throwing out disqualification. No one's
gotten counted out. Well, except for MJF.
Did MJF actually get counted out?
Yes, because
when was this?
Remember, he grabbed the mic, told the referee that he would that he would get paid like 100 times more, and then the referee hesitated for a second but did the 10 count?
I guess I forgot that.
Um,
I kind of like best of series. It reminds me a lot of baseball. I always have liked the best of 5, best of 7 series. Booker T and Chris Benoit had 2. One in WCW. They tried to recreate history in WWE. I think that failed miserably, but it's hard sometimes to duplicate what you did once. I liked the best of 7 trios match. Only thing I did not like is that it was predictable going in how that was going to end up.
Well,
but Tony did pull a wife one. Well, he made it look like the Death Triangle was going to go full up and end it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they win like 2, and then finally the Elite won 1, and then Omega grabbed the mic and said, "We're going to do the reverse."
Since you guys like using the hammer so much, why not make the hammer legal?
Yeah, see, that was Omega's idea because they were winning by the hammer.
Yeah.
So they just took the hammer out of play. Well, so to speak. They took the hammer they was going to be expecting it at this point because it's legal. The ladder match, you probably won't find a better match all year. Speaking of Trios Championship, it was announced that the Elite would be putting them belts on against the House of Black at Revolution.
You want my thoughts on whether the House of Black are going to win those titles or the Elite are going to keep them?
A lot of people are talking about Omega's contract and the Bucks contract coming up.
Where does Jay White go? Because right now he's a free agent.
Not after Mania. But he's going to have something in his contract where if he's not booked to his satisfaction, he can leave. No strings attached. But then again, he has made a lot of contact with AEW, but he also has a lot of friends in Impact.
Mm-hmm.
Jay's one that could literally wind up anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. He's that dang good. AEW has the built-in Elite, basically their version of the Bullet Club. Well, WWE has the OC, their version of the Bullet Club.
They also have the Bloodline.
Exactly. So could we get a OC versus the Bloodline eventually? Or does Jay White come in to help the OC with Judgment Day?
Well,
there is a lot that they could use, though.
Since we're on WWE ground now, let's talk about Elimination Chamber. Now, I didn't watch it, but I heard that it was a fantastic show from top to bottom. The only thing people seem to gripe about is Sami Zayn not coming out.
He wasn't winning. We knew that. So we're going to have to do a part 2.